Toronto landlord tries to rent out 3 individual beds in the same room for $420 each.
This guy tries to run a dormitory.
Bro, I don't know what this is. This looks like prison, bro.
This is. It's crazy. For $422, bugging.
Utilities and Wi-Fi included. Separate entrance. You can't have a separate entrance to for all 3 of you, I guess.
That makes me think of all the flight attendants that work in Vancouver.
The post was deleted Sunday evening shortly after it was posted.
Yeah, because it's crazy.
People said they were going to attack the house because they were so upset at the listing.
I
get it.
You know what? I get it. I believe it.
You want to know why?
I believe it.
Because Toronto's crazy.
Yeah, I believe it. Some people would have get there, show up, and be like, this is a blood clot house. Yo, run this. And they would. They would. I 100%.
The ad itself is illegal because Jerry's Place, all the space, you can't list an ad for that many people living in the same room. So that's illegal. So I didn't know that.
Already. See, fool.
Man, why am I bringing this up? Because
why are you bringing this up?
Because rent is crazy right now.
Yeah.
And it's been getting crazy for the last couple of years. And some places have been crazy for the last decade. All right, but if you don't live in some of these shitty-ass places, you guys notice, like, the last 3-4 years, this shit's shot through the roof. And, we've talked about this. Montreal always been way more affordable than other places.
Yeah, out of the 3 main cities.
Oh, even North America in general. It's just crazy how much more. I tell people what I pay for my apartment, and they're like, huh? What do you mean? I'm like, yeah, $1,100 for a 3-bedroom apartment downtown. Big rooms. Big rooms, backyard, everything. Huh? Downtown, close to Metro, no crazy crime, nothing. $1,100. They're like, what the fuck? That's not even possible.
They don't get it.
They're paying that much for a bedroom in some places. You get what I'm saying? Rent and shit is so crazy. That's why these people were mad.
Of course.
They're like, bro, I'm trying to find a place, and you want to insult my eyes with this bullshit? 3 bedrooms in a prison-like setting?
Yeah.
How are you supposed to live there?
Yeah. I get people being mad. I want to burn people's place, but I can understand the sentence.
Them motherfuckers gonna show up at his place.
They would.
Oh, you think you gonna rent this out? Nah, when I'm done, They were gonna go crazy.
They would 100% go.
And part of me, after looking at those beds, be like, bitch, your house deserves to burn. Those beds were disgusting.
Yeah.
What do you think about the rent situation?
Well, people took opportunities and raised the prices. People trying to make more money. Greed. You know what I mean? It's a bit crazy. Even here, like, we still have a sort of a crisis. It's not as bad as everybody else or everywhere else with the prices, but we still have a crisis where we don't have enough housing for people.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's crazy. But with this whole COVID situation that happened, people realize that they don't have to work so close to
home,
so close to a center of the city.
Right. They
can go. Well, there's a lot of things that can be done outside the city. Montreal was really different than other cities that I've encountered, because when you want to go out in Montreal, you go downtown. When you go LA, you don't really go downtown. Facts. Right? When you go to New York, you can go downtown, but the real parties are like in the hood,
in the burbs.
In the burbs. Miami, it's not downtown. It's not like where the center city is. It's like South Beach was another thing. So in other cities, it's not the downtown area. Even like in Calgary, it's not downtown that you're gonna the most things are. That's for the business. You understand what I'm saying? So Montreal is gonna start to be like that. Downtown is maybe gonna die out. Mm-hmm. For the suburbs.
There's going to be new centers that are going to start.
But there's already new centers. Look at the South Shore. They have their centers.
Right.
Look at the North Shore. They have their centers. Out West, they have their centers. It's started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mainly because of the housing. So it's going to be, it's really hard to predict because, it's human beings and stuff like that. But I do think that there's something to be done there.
Yeah.
And it would be good not to replicate what other cities are doing.
Yeah. And for me, I think affordable rent when I first moved here 7 years ago was such a big deal. Because, I'm trying to figure out my way as on the YouTube and stand-up space. And, when you're paying $420 for your own room every month, all included, you have a lot more money and flexible money to do into other things, right? If you're working part-time, you can pay your bills and still have a life. You can go enjoy art events. You can go to museums. You can go on dates. You can go to friends with restaurants and not have to work such crazy hours just to pay your bills and save money. So there was the flexibility for me in terms of, creating a startup and doing my own thing because of the fact that I didn't have so much of my money going into my bills. And then it also gave me a much better quality of life because I wasn't working so much just to be able to enjoy a tiny bit of freedom. I actually had a lot more flexibility in that regard. So I think one thing that I realized from moving from Los Angeles to moving to Montreal is like how much of a burden is lifted off your shoulders when you get to live in an environment where rent is accessible in places that matter.
Yeah.
I didn't have to move 2 hours away from the city or anything like that. I could be here.
You can be really
have access to everything, to be part of like the cultural fabric, and to live like a good quality of life where I got my personal time, my work time, and
because then you gotta buy a car, then you got
the bills pile up.
Yeah, you can live away, but then it gives more, it gives you more expenses.
Not only that, not only does it give you more expensive, it gives you less incentive because the further something is away, the less likely you are to go.
Yeah,
I could go to a cultural event because it's 20 minutes by walk or bus. If I gotta drive 40 minutes, it's a different thing. I gotta put a lot more labor into it. Then I gotta find parking, deal with traffic, deal with that stress, right? And
then you always gotta check the time because you gotta go home because you got, stuff like that.
I remember reading a study that said that happiness levels for employees were linked to how long their commute was to work.
I can understand.
The longer their commute, the more likely the depression was for the people.
When I talk to people in New York and they tell me that they have to commute like an hour and a half.
Nah, we not doing that.
You know what I mean? Oh, I work in Manhattan. Okay, cool. Where'd you live?
No.
Staten. What?
Yeah.
Where'd you live? Where'd you work? Manhattan. Where you live? Far Rockaway. And what do you do? Bus and metro? I'm like,
but they don't have a choice. They can't drive. No. They can't drive.
But that's extensive.
Think about what an hour and a half is. Let's say you're doing it both ways, because some people do it both ways. But let's be generous. Let's say it's an hour there, an hour back. That's 2 hours. In a day,
if everything goes well,
in a day,
that's 3
you
hours.
might have about 16 to 14 hours that you're awake. You got 2 hours of driving, 8 hours of work. That's 10 hours spent right there. That means you may have 4 to 6 hours at most.
If it's an hour and a half, it goes fast. If it's an hour and a half, it's 11 hours. So it's 8 hours.
So your day's done.
That's if you don't want to do
your day is done.
That's if you don't want to do overtime. Let's say, motherfucker, because you have to pay your rent, you want to do overtime. So now you do 2 or 3 hours overtime. But we're at 15 hours a day that you're out.
Rough.
And you got to sleep in that.
And bus drives and all that stuff involves so much bullshit. It's like, bro, no. There's so much bullshit, especially New York.
Oh, yeah.
Bullshit.
Say that again?
Bullshit. Stupid.
It is.
It is.
It is.
So, like, I just can't. I want to relate to you guys, like, just for me living in the States and then moving here, like, how much of a difference it made in my quality of life, I cannot tell you guys.
I can understand.
I didn't understand it till I lived it. And I'm like, this is living. This is a life. I do things. And I do them when I want, how I want.
And you're not so stressed.
Bruh, and I'm not, I was not making money like that. I was not making money like that. I was a struggling artist.
Mm-hmm.
But I had an opportunity to live. And so I think that's the beauty of what I had to experience here. And knowing that it's disappearing makes me sad. And knowing that it's not accessible to most people in most places makes me sad. But I do want folks to know that that's not the only way to live. You're not supposed to be stressing about your bills but most folks live paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. So it's one of those things that made me sad. And this ad was the evidence of that. So just wanted to share that with you guys. Anything you want to add about this?
No.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. We want to hear from you.